Welcome. In this course, you will learn how to design beautiful and functional websites. And not only that, I will teach you how to make good money working from home. And this course is very comprehensive and very extensive, but you will start with the basics, and as you gain confidence, you will move into more advanced topics. This course is organized into modules, lessons, and sub-lessons to make it easy for you to follow along. And you don't need any previous experience in web design, and you don't need to be considered a creative person, because I will make sure to teach you everything you need in order to become a successful web designer. The story about how I started this course is very, very organic, and it's because my younger brother wanted to become a software engineer, but then he wanted to switch and he wanted to become a web designer. And then he came to me and asked me which course or which training should he take in order for him to become a web designer, right? And I was like, I don't know, because when I started back in 2004, there weren't a lot of courses and a lot of resources. So I had to learn by myself and asking people and just trying different stuff. And I didn't have any money anyways. I was in high school, you know what I mean? And my brother was in the same position when he started. And I started giving him some advice, and then he started to see some success. And I was like, wait a second, probably there are more people like him with no money, a lot of potential, and they just need some guidance. So that's why I decided to offer this course totally for free. And this is not a crash course. This is a complete course. And I could be selling it for thousands, but I'm not going to do that because I know that a lot of beginners are broke, just like I was when I started. And I believe in free, high quality education. I hope you are ready to start learning, and yeah, let's dive in. So these are the only tools you need to get started: a computer, internet connection, and then Figma. Figma is the software that we are going to use to design our websites. So let's start with some industry facts. The web design market is a $40.8 billion industry. It's huge. There is a lot of opportunities for web designers, and the market is continuing to grow. I just wanted to show you this so you can have some perspective on how big this market is. And here is what I'm offering you: a complete high quality course for free, the opportunity to become a member of a collective of web designers for free, and access to mentorship for free. And you might be asking, okay, so how is this course free? What's the catch, right? The truth is that there is no catch, and I will explain you why right now. So this is me. It doesn't look like me, but you get the point. I started freelancing, and then I started making money. And then I started making more money. More projects came in, and I was making a lot of money. But there is a problem. We only have 24 hours a day. And it gets overwhelming when you have more than one project going on. So I was thinking, like, what if I had a network of hundreds of high-level web designers to whom I could pass projects when I'm busy, and they could pass projects to me when I have like a slow month? And that's a win-win situation. And then I thought, what if this network expands to thousands, and some of these individuals become my students and then go on to lead agencies or secure top design positions at companies like Nike or Apple? They will likely remember who helped them get started. And this insight led me to a decision. Teaching for free would be the best and most effective way to build this vast network. And it's also very fulfilling for me because it ensures that anyone around the world, regardless of their location or financial situation, can access high quality education as long as they have a computer and an internet connection. Before we begin with the course, I would like to address something. As many of you know, the design industry is constantly evolving with new apps, updates, user interfaces, and best practices. To make sure this course stays future-proof, I will be continuously updating and adding new content. I created a dedicated page for these updates, which I recommend you to bookmark. All new tools, interface changes, and best practices will be there. This page will be a continuous work in progress, and I would love to hear your feedback to keep it as useful as possible. You can access the updates by going to freewebdesigncourse.com/updates. There is also a form to request an update in case it's not already there. Now let's move to the module breakdown. So here are the modules, and we have a total of 15. 12 that are main modules, and then we have 3 bonus modules. And I will walk you through them right now. So the first module is the foundation of success, cultivating the right mindset. And this is the most important module of the entire course. And this module, as I said, is the foundation of everything that you have to learn in this course. and also for life, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful. So please make sure to take this seriously and take your time with it. Then we have module number 2, Introduction to Figma and Design Fundamentals. Then we have number 3, Planning and Designing Your First Website. Number 4, Exploring Career Paths in Web Design. Number 5, Getting Clients as a Freelancer. Number 6, Everything You Need to Get Paid. Then we have module number 7, How to Leverage AI to Become a Super Designer. Number 8, Setting Up Your Digital Workstation. Number 9, Registering as a Business, When and How. Number 10, Building and Publishing Your Portfolio. This one is extremely important. Module number 11, Advanced Figma Techniques and Tools. And number 12, Advice on How to Have Successful Meetings. And of course, you also have 3 bonus modules. Number 13, Introduction to Sustainable Web Design. Number 14, Optimizing for Web Accessibility and Inclusion. Number 15, Exploring the Power of UX Psychology. And without losing any time, let's start with module number 1, the foundation of success, cultivating the right mindset. I know that right now you are probably very excited and you want to start designing websites and you want to start making money. But first, you have to understand that your foundation has to be strong, because if not, it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful. If you are building a house and it doesn't have a strong base, it doesn't matter how nice it looks, it's not going to stand on. That's why having the right attitude and the right mindset is the first step in your career as a designer. And in this module, I will teach you how to develop the right mindset. I will also teach you some important things about creativity, daily routines, and the importance of being part of a collective of like-minded people. This module has 12 lessons, and as you can see here, we will cover a lot of interesting topics. Before we continue, I'd like to personally invite you to the Web Designers Collective. It's a private community of designers where we share valuable resources, work opportunities, and host group mentorship conference calls. To maintain the highest quality, we only grant access to a select group of people. If you're a good fit, you will be accepted within 24 hours and become an official member of this amazing collective. We want to make sure that this group is very high quality, so we often close and reopen applications based on demand. So don't hesitate. Apply now before we close access to new members. Once the group is closed, we don't know when it's going to be open again. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Join us today. It's 100% free. To apply, go to webdesignerscollective.com or click the link in the description. So let's talk about lesson number 1, the lie of creativity. And this one is very important because at the end of the day, there is a lot of people that think that they are not creative, right? You talk with people and they be like, hey, I just cannot design websites because I'm not a creative person. I don't know how to paint because I'm not a creative person. And I think there is a misconception, because I really believe that all human beings are creative, right? And if you ever solved a problem in your life, you have been a creative person, because there is no way you can solve a problem unless you use your brain in new and unique ways. In order to solve it, that's what you have to do, right? And that's creativity, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what designing is all about: solving problems, helping the user achieve a desired outcome. And you should try to be like a sponge. You should try to absorb all different types of information, visual and non-visual, in order to stay creative, right? And in module number 3, when we start designing our first website, I will list all the sources and all the websites I use to find inspiration. There is a very nice quote by Pablo Picasso, and it says, "All people are born with the same potential to be creative, but many people waste their creativity on too many different things. I use all my creativity for just one thing, my art." And that's a beautiful quote by one of the most creative persons in history. And he was an artist, right? So he could have said something like, man, I'm just special and I'm, not everybody's creative, you know what I mean? And this and that. But no, he said everybody has the same creative potential. You know what I mean? So that's a very nice thing to think about, because that's true. Even though our potential is infinite, the way we express our creativity is different. Now I will talk about the different creativity myths, because there are some misconceptions about what creativity is. The myth number 1 is this one: creativity is an inborn talent exclusive to some people only. And the reality is that while some people might be naturally inclined towards creative thinking, creativity is more a skill than an inborn talent. And it can be developed and enhanced through practice, exposure, and education. You know what I mean? Like, education is very important because at the end of the day, you have to learn new ways to find inspiration and all that stuff that you are going to learn in this course. And then everyone has the potential to be creative in the unique ways. As I said before, everybody's different and people follow different paths of creativity. And now we have myth number 2. Creativity only belongs to the arts. And that's not true. You know what I mean? Because creativity can be found everywhere, in sports, science, business, and in daily life. Like, as I said before, when you solve a problem, you are a creative person. So we should just end that misconception of, like the creative is the artist that is making a masterpiece and, painting and doing sculpture. That's not true. The everyday person is a creative person. So let's talk about myth number 3. And this one is very funny. Creativity thrives on chaos. And we have the image of the creative person living in a very messy apartment and, being a little bit crazy and all that stuff. And that's not true. You know what I mean? There is a lot of successful creatives that have a structured life, with routines and habits and all that stuff. And, for example, for web designers, I like to keep my desk very clean and everything very organized, because if not, I cannot work. And, as I say, I'm a creative person and you are a creative person. So, you don't have to be like living in a messy apartment. So look around, and if your apartment or your desk is a mess, go and, clean it up. You know what I mean? Because you will be able to focus. You know what I'm saying? When we are in a clean environment, we are able to focus. So just do that. Make sure to clean up everything. Myth number 4, creativity comes from inspiration alone. And, some people just wait for inspiration. They be like, man, I'm not inspired, so therefore I'm not going to work. And that's a big mistake. You know what I'm saying? Inspiration comes from action too. So while you are working, you might find inspiration. So don't just wait for inspiration to come, because that's going to make you lose a lot of time and you are not going to be productive. So just let it flow and keep working. Myth number 5, creativity is spontaneous and unpredictable. A lot of people think that creativity is something magic and very spontaneous that just pops up. And that's not true, because creativity can be cultivated through meditation, research, and work. So there are many different ways to cultivate creativity. So this is the last one, myth number 6. More ideas mean better creativity. And there are a lot of people that think that having a lot of ideas means that they are more creative. And that's not true, because having a lot of ideas doesn't mean that those ideas are good enough, right? So it's better to have only one idea that is a big and a useful idea than having like 10,000 useless ideas. There is a very famous quote by Bruce Lee, and he said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." And that's a very nice metaphor, because more doesn't necessarily mean better. The goal of this module is for you to understand that creativity is not something that unique, right? Because everybody's creative. And I want you to have that mindset and that idea deep in your head, because I don't want you to be limited, right? I want you to understand that you can accomplish amazing results, and then you can be an amazing web designer. In this lesson, you've learned about the concept of why everybody's creative, and also the main myths about creativity. Now let's move to the next lesson, the growth mindset. So what is mindset? We hear this word every day, right? Mindset this, mindset that. A mindset is a set of attitudes or beliefs that someone has. There is a psychologist called Carol Dweck who introduced the idea of 2 main mindsets, fixed and growth. And this concept of fixed and growth mindset is something we see every day. Some people think they cannot accomplish something because they put limiting beliefs into themselves, and they keep making excuses on why they are not successful. They be like, oh, probably I'm not successful because I'm not creative, or I don't have the resources. They just keep making excuses. On the other hand, there are people who believe in themselves and believe they can make it in life no matter what. Those are the people who have the growth mindset. And I want to make sure that you belong to the second group. So a person that has a fixed mindset is somebody who avoids challenges, somebody who gives up very easily, somebody who sees effort as something pointless if there is not immediate success, somebody who ignores or rejects feedback, and somebody who is intimidated by other success. On the other hand, a person with a growth mindset is somebody who embraces challenges, persists in the face of setbacks, sees effort as a path to mastery, learns from criticism, and is inspired by other success. When you see all these successful designers and all these people making money, you have to think that they are only human beings. And if they were able to accomplish all that, you can do it too. So stop thinking about, all these different quick strategies and shortcuts and all that stuff, because it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of dedication, but you can make it too. There is a very nice quote by Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and he said, "Do not assume that something is impossible just because it's difficult for you. If any person can do it, you can do it too." Now, I want you to sit and think. Which type of mindset do you have right now? Are you gravitating more towards a fixed mindset, or are you gravitating towards a growth mindset? If you find yourself with a fixed mindset, now it's time to change. Apply the concepts that you learn from this course, and you will soon notice the difference. Additionally, go to our private group and share your thoughts. Our beautiful community will be there for you. You are not alone in this journey. And today is the best day to make a change. So in this lesson, you've learned about what is mindset and the differences between fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Now it's time to move to the next lesson. In this lesson, I will talk about two concepts that are present in everybody's life: fear and resistance. Fear is an emotional reaction we experience in the face of perceived threats or dangers. It can often hold us back from taking action that leads to growth. Resistance, on the other hand, is our tendency to avoid change or challenge, even when part of us desires that change or knows it could be beneficial. Like how many times you didn't do something you knew it was beneficial for you. That's resistance. Let's say that you want to learn a new language, right? And you know that learning that language is very important for you and for your career and for you as a human being, but then you never do it, right? That's resistance. On the other hand, let's say that you are scared of spiders, right? And then you are in a hotel in Australia, and then you see a spider and then you freeze. That's fear. Both fear and resistance can be subtle yet powerful forces that impact how we make decisions, respond to opportunities, and pursue our goals. They often work together to keep us in our comfort zones and preventing us from reaching our full potential. So they are like a match made in hell, if you will. They are the enemy. We will explore why these responses occur and how they can be both a natural protective mechanism and a barrier to success. I will provide you with strategies to recognize when you are being controlled by fear and resistance, and practical tools to help you overcome these blocks. By understanding and addressing fear and resistance, you will be better equipped to tackle challenges head on, make proactive choices, and move towards a more empowered and fulfilling life. Let's break down these barriers together and open up a world of possibilities where fear and resistance no longer hold us back. This diagram is called the illusion of fear. It shows three elements: you, your fears, and your potential. So let's break it down. The circle that you see in the middle, that's you, okay? That's you represented as an individual. Then around you is a dashed square that says your fears. This square is not very big, but it's directly around you. This shows that your fears are close to you and can affect you directly. But that's an illusion. That's why it's dashed, right? It's something that in reality is weak and you are stronger. Then the largest area is your potential. This represents everything you can achieve or become. So it's huge, right? If you compare this with your fears, your potential is huge. And that's why I call this diagram the illusion of fear, because in reality, fear is just like an illusion. In reality, fear is something small that you can, destroy if you have the willpower and the discipline and then just the courage to face your fears. So go and do something that you are scared about. You know what I mean? Obviously something safe. So let's say that you are scared of rejection. Okay, so go to a cafe and ask for a free coffee. Probably they will reject you, right? But then you will be stronger because you will be, okay, they rejected me, but I'm stronger now because I face my fear. You know what I mean? So fear is just something small and I'm bigger. That's it. Here is a powerful quote by the Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. So in this slide, we are going to discover the limiting force of resistance. And here, as you can see here, this circle is you again. And then we see two arrows, the blue one and the orange one. The blue one goes to your goals, and this is a long distance, right? And then we see one that is closer, which points to your bad habits, your doubts, and your fears, right? And this one is short. And that's because the closer you are to these things, the further you are going to be from your goals, right? And the more resistance you will create. And that's why it's very important to have good habits, you know what I mean? And then get rid of doubt and then fear, all those things are distractions and you don't want them. And you have to make an effort to get rid of resistance and fear, right? And these things are not just going to disappear, right? You have to take action every day, little by little. And I'm not telling you to, get rid of your doubts and your fears and your bad habits today, right? But today you have to start to think about making progress and about changing, because this is going to be very important if you want to become successful. In this lesson, you've learned about the illusion of fear and why fear is something you can overcome and become stronger. And also about the limiting force of resistance and why it's important to take action to move forward. So think about these concepts and let's move to the next lesson. In this next lesson, we are going to talk about the importance of failure. And failure is a very wise teacher, right? Because without failure, it's very difficult to become successful. But the thing is, there is some people that can achieve success without having any failures. And that happens. That's something that can happen. But then that success is going to be weaker. And then the other one, we see that is stronger. Why? Because it has many failures. And the experience that this type of success has is way more valuable than the success that doesn't have any failures. By failing and coming back every time, you build resilience. So don't be scared of failure. And I want to clarify, when I say success without failures, I'm talking about big failures, right? I'm not talking about little failures that happen in daily life. I'm talking about a huge setback. So embrace failure and let it be your teacher. In this lesson, you've learned why failure is a great teacher and why you shouldn't be scared of failing. Life has so many ups and downs, but we can always learn from our failures and mistakes and, get back on track. So think about this and let's move to the next lesson. In this lesson, we will explore a very important topic. Setting goals is something we can do to get that sense of direction. It turns our big ideas into small steps that we can follow. Without goals, we might lose our way, but with goals, we have a clear plan that keeps us moving forward, even when it's tough. So there is this concept called SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym that means goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, instead of saying, I want to be a better web designer, a SMART goal will be, I will complete a web design course by the end of this month. This is a SMART goal because it clearly states what you will do, how you will measure it, make sure it can be done, relates to your career, and it has a deadline. So what I like to do is to write 3 tasks for a single day. Because if you have a lot of tasks in a single day, you will get overwhelmed and you will give up because we have limited willpower. And you get tired, and it's normal for you to be like, man, I'm just tired, I don't want to do this task. So just have 3, and then one of these 3 tasks has to be an important one, a non-negotiable one, right? That you have to complete no matter what. And then the other 2, you complete them once you finish the first one. And then if you finish the 3 tasks and you have more time available and you have the energy, you can maybe write a 4th task or a 5th task, but don't try to put a lot of tasks in a single day, because as I said, you will get overwhelmed. And try to plan those tasks the day before, ideally before you go to sleep. And you can use a software like Trello or Asana, but at the beginning you can just use pen and paper. Every big achievement starts with a small step. Set your goals, make your plans, and start taking steps towards them. And let us know in the private group what your goals are. Maybe someone can help you get there faster. In this lesson, you've learned why setting goals is important, what SMART goals are, and how to stay organized. So I hope you start writing down your goals from now on. Let's move to the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to talk about discipline. Discipline is the ability to control your emotions, behaviors, and desires in the face of external demands. It's about making the right decisions even when it's hard. Discipline is the foundation that allows us to stay focused in our goals, pushing through challenges and temptations. It's like when you do something that you don't feel like doing, but you do it regardless because you know it's going to be beneficial for you in the long run. For example, let's say that you feel lazy today and you don't want to go to the gym, and you push through and you go to the gym regardless, right? So that's discipline. It's almost impossible to become successful in life if you are not disciplined, right? You have to make sacrifices and push through even when you don't feel like it. Being lazy is normal. It's a human thing. We all feel lazy sometimes, right? Some more than others, but the key is to understand that success requires pushing beyond that laziness. So every time you feel lazy, remember this and go and do the work. And remember to rest as well, because burnout is a real thing, right? And you have to make sure that you are pacing. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you have to really be consistent, but sometimes you have to rest. Remember, success isn't a one-time event. It's a cumulative result of disciplined, consistent actions over time. So stay focused. Now, discipline is nothing without consistency, right? It doesn't matter if you are disciplined for only one day. Success lies at the intersection of discipline and consistency. When you combine disciplined actions with consistent effort, you create a powerful force. In this intersection, as you can see here in this diagram, is where true sustainable success is born. In this lesson, you've learned about the power of discipline and consistency. Being disciplined is not easy, right? And the beginning of the process can be bitter. However, the reward over time is very sweet. So with that, let's move to the next lesson. This lesson is called Emotions and the Happiness Threshold. When I was a teenager, I noticed something very interesting. Sometimes we get a material item that is highly valued by society, like a nice bike or a nice car or another expensive possession or experience, right? At first, we feel very thrilled and excited, but after a few days, when the novelty wears off, it becomes just another part of our daily routine. Then we might get something else like a Lego set or have an experience like a walk on the beach. And surprisingly, this Lego set or simple walk on the beach can bring us the same level of excitement and happiness that we felt when we first got the bike or the car, sometimes even more. This made me realize that there is a happiness threshold and that happiness has a limit. No matter the cost or perceived value of an item, the initial excitement eventually fades, and we return to our baseline level of happiness. Understanding this taught me that true lasting happiness doesn't come from material possessions, but from even simple experiences, relationships, and personal growth. By focusing on what truly matters, we can find more sustainable sources of joy in life. When you start making money as a web designer, you will probably get some nice things, not necessarily useless material stuff, but maybe a nice computer to help you with work or a nice vacation with your family. Just be aware that these things can bring you joy and happiness, but simple things like a nice walk with a friend or ordering in and enjoying a simple dinner with your loved one can bring the same level of excitement and happiness. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Money alone will not increase happiness to high levels sustainably. It always fades, and we end up chasing new things. Make sure that you understand that chasing these new experiences or objects will not make you happier in the long run. Now let's talk about emotions. Throughout your journey as a web designer, you will feel a lot of different emotions. Sometimes you will be sad, sometimes you will be very happy, and sometimes you will just feel tired and burnt out. These feelings are normal. We all feel that way sometimes. But if you really want to enjoy life and your profession, you have to build a strong mentality and be very disciplined. You should always try to maintain the same level of stillness even when things are tough. This journey will feel like a roller coaster sometimes, but the rewards of having a successful career as a web designer and impacting many lives through your designs are well worth it. In this graph, you can see your emotions and your focus. You should always try to maintain your focus at the same level. Never get distracted by your emotions. Listen to your emotions, but never act while being emotional, because it can backfire. Always maintain your focus. In this lesson, you will learn why buying expensive things is not the best way to be happy, and also why it's important to control your emotions in this roller coaster called life. Let's move to the next lesson. In this lesson, we will talk about imposter syndrome. So, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is when people doubt their skills and they think they are not good enough. They often feel like a fraud and fear being exposed. And some signs of imposter syndrome are thinking success is just luck, fear of failure, working too hard due to insecurities, not believing compliments, and a self-doubt that is constant. And this can cause emotional problems like anxiety, stress, and low self-esteem. It can also cause professional issues like not growing in your career, avoiding new opportunities, and these feelings are extremely annoying, especially when you have so much potential. And you will probably feel like that sometimes because imagine that you finish this course, right? And then you get a job offer or, like a project or something. And you will feel like, man, I'm just like somebody new in this, you know what I mean? And I don't have experience, so you will feel insecure. So here are some practical ways to overcome this, right? First, acknowledge your feelings. It's normal. Talk about it with others. Second, challenge negative thoughts and keep a record of achievements. Third, celebrate success. Accept compliments and reward yourself because you deserve it. You know what I mean? You work hard and you accomplish a lot of things, so you deserve it. And lastly, look for support. Go to our community and talk to other people because there is a lot of people that have the same challenges. So it's very important for you to stay in touch with them and just talk and brainstorm, and because that's the way you will find solutions, talking to other people. Now let's talk about this image. The orange circle represents you, and the blue circle are the different feelings experienced when you have imposter syndrome, such as self-doubt and putting too much importance on what other people think about your failures and accomplishments. When you look outwards all the time, you will always be under the illusion of the imposter syndrome. Just like fear, it's only real if you let it be. As shown in this image, when you let it control your perceptions of reality, it surrounds you and controls you. In this lesson, you've learned what imposter syndrome is and how to overcome it. Don't let it hold you back. You are great. You are awesome. All right, so let's move to the next lesson. Overcoming the shiny object syndrome. Okay, let's take a look at this diagram which compares shiny objects to dull objects. Understanding this is crucial for staying focused and achieving our goals. First, let's talk about shiny objects. These are new exciting ideas or projects that grab our attention quickly. They are very attractive, but can easily distract us from our main goals. Shiny objects often come with market hype, meaning they are popular or trending and everybody's talking about them. So let's say that today you want to be a web designer, right? And then tomorrow you see, on Twitter that there is a trend that everybody's talking about real estate and everybody's talking about, being a real estate agent and all that stuff. And then you decide that you don't want to be a web designer anymore. Now you want to dedicate all your effort into real estate. That's a shiny object, right? Now everybody's talking about real estate. And then, you see a lot of people posting screenshots, making a lot of money. So you'll be like, man, that's probably where I can make a lot of money. So I'm just going to gravitate towards that. And I'm just going to leave all this web design stuff behind me. That's the wrong approach. And you have to be very careful with that, because to become successful, one of the best ways is to focus on one thing only. Especially at the beginning, you have to make sure that you focus on one thing. And then in the future, when you are successful, if you want, you can diversify a little, right? But at the beginning, you have to focus on one thing only. And even when you start diversifying, you have to make sure that your effort is not invested in 1,000 projects that are going nowhere. Shiny objects are very tempting because they give us this false illusion of instant gratification when in reality, it's not something worthwhile. And usually shiny objects are those objects that attract us very emotionally. You know what I mean? Like when you see a screenshot, for example, of a real estate agent that says, I made $1 million this year, very quickly and this and that, you are emotionally attracted to that outcome, right? And you are, man, I just want to be a millionaire. So maybe real estate is the way to go, And then you try real estate and you fail. And then you'll be like, man, this is not for me. And you switch and you go and chase another shiny object. And that's a process that is endless. And it happens to a lot of people. So you have to break that loop and just focus on one thing. So now let's talk about the other side of the diagram. Let's talk about the dull objects. These are ideas or projects that may seem boring at first, but are very important for a long-term success. And these quote-unquote objects don't seem very exciting initially. However, they provide long-lasting benefits that continue over time, even if they aren't immediately satisfying. So in conclusion, try not to be someone who is always chasing new projects that seem exciting and easy. This approach can lead you nowhere. Instead, focus on your current projects and be patient. By dedicating your time and effort to what really matters, you can achieve long-term success. In this lesson, you've learned about the pitfalls of shiny object syndrome and why chasing every new opportunity can hinder your progress. Remember, true success comes from sustained focus and dedication to your current projects. Resist the urge to switch paths just because something new appears more enticing or because others seem to be succeeding. Stay committed, stay focused, and watch your efforts pay off. All right, so in this next lesson, we will talk about the dangers of arrogance. And arrogance is a very interesting thing, and it's very easy for people that make money online to be arrogant. Like, I've seen it many times. People start making money and then they start thinking they are superior and they look down on others and all that stuff. And as we are going to see in this diagram, it's very dangerous to be like that. On the left side, we have the scenario when things are going well. You can see that you are the largest circle. This represents how in moments of success, arrogance can make us feel like we are the most important, right? You feel like the king, but in reality, you are the slave of your own success. And as we can see here on the right side, when things don't go so well, you will feel small because you depend on your success to feel important. And then other people will seem larger and more important than you. You know, that's why when you are successful, you have to treat others well because you never know. You might need the help of the people you once looked down upon. And that's probably like the worst feeling ever because you would feel miserable. And this is a fact. We have seen this story many times, right? And I will give you an example. Napoleon. He was a brilliant military leader and emperor of France who rose to power during the French Revolution. He established a vast empire across Europe and was on top of the world due to his military success and strategic acumen. However, Napoleon's success led into increasing arrogance. And you know how that goes. He believed he was invincible and he didn't listen to anyone. He was like, I'm Napoleon, bruh. Who are you? So he often dismissed the advice of his generals and advisors. And then he thought he was so cool that he decided to invade Russia in, I think it was 1812 or something. And that's a clear example of his arrogance. He was living this illusion of grandiosity. And everybody advised him against that decision due to the Russian winter and logistical challenges. But he decided to proceed with the campaign anyways. Obviously, the attempt to invade Russia turned into a disaster. The French army was decimated by the cold, starvation, and Russian attacks. This massive defeat marked the beginning of Napoleon's downfall. He faced more defeat and was eventually forced to abdicate. And then after his final defeat, the grandiose Napoleon was exiled to a remote island. And obviously, his arrogance had alienated many of his former allies and generals. The people he had once looked down upon were unwilling to help him. So he lived the rest of his life in isolation, very far from the power and glory he once enjoyed. Napoleon's story is a powerful example of how arrogance can lead to a fall from greatness. Despite his remarkable talents and achievements, his overconfidence and disregard for others' advice led to his eventual downfall. This historical example shows us the importance of humility and respect for others, even when you are very successful. So let's look at this slide, right? We see two armies. One that's arrogant, you and your army. And then we see your enemy's army. And your enemy is super prepared, right? And you are not prepared, but you are under the impression that you are prepared because you see an army of 4 and you see your army and you are 4. But then the problem is your enemy has prepared very well this battle and you didn't. And the thing is that they have a hidden support army, right? Behind this wall. And you cannot see them. This could be a wall or it could be mountains. And you don't see them. The problem is that if this support army comes into the battle, you are lost. They will destroy you because they are very prepared and there are a lot of people. And something very interesting happens. Since you are very confident, you start winning the battle because you defeat the first 4 soldiers. And then you start boasting and thinking that you are invincible, just like Napoleon. Then all of a sudden, something very interesting happens again. And now the hidden army comes into the battle. And then you are just destroyed. Like, you are surrounded without any escape. And obviously the arrogance fades. Now you might be asking, why is this guy talking about war and battles and all that stuff? So here is why. Imagine you are a freelance web designer right now who has successfully completed several projects. And then you start believing that you can handle any projects with ease, no matter the complexity. This overconfidence leads you to take on a complex project without adequate preparation. You accept the challenging project because of your past successes. Then you skim through the client's requirements thinking you've handled similar tasks before. You don't pay attention, you rush the process, you don't do research, and then you start working and you encounter unexpected technical challenges and client requests that you didn't anticipate. So your initial confidence starts to fade as these hidden challenges emerge. And obviously, the outcome of all this is that the project falls behind schedule due to unforeseen problems. And then the quality of your work suffers because you didn't prepare adequately. Then what happens next is that the client becomes dissatisfied because of the delays and subpar quality. You struggle to meet the client's expectations, and obviously this can make your relationship with the client worse, and you might not get more work from them in the future. So in conclusion, be humble and know that every project can have different challenges. Keep learning new skills and stay updated. You should also plan carefully and think about possible problems. Anticipating them is key to deliver amazing work. Make sure to meditate on this. In this lesson, you've learned why arrogance is double-faced and why being overprepared is better than being overconfident. We've also explored the story of the rise and fall of Napoleon. Let's move to the next lesson. Welcome to the 11th lesson of this module, Past, Present, and Future. In this lesson, we will explore the importance of learning from past experiences without dwelling on them. I will talk about the importance of living in the present to maximize opportunities and also how to set meaningful goals for the future. We will discuss strategies to balance these perspectives for a proactive and well-rounded approach to life. The past is an interesting thing. It no longer exists and still is a powerful teacher. Reflecting on the past is okay and even necessary, but problems arise when we dwell on the past. Making mistakes is part of being human, and everyone makes foolish mistakes sometimes. And while mistakes are part of life, some people get too caught up in them, like dwelling on the past and never truly living in the present moment. I emphasize this because learning to be present is crucial for success. I chose to use footage of historical ruins to illustrate the concept of not dwelling on the past. These ruins symbolize what once existed but no longer serves a functional purpose today. The ruins remind us that while the past is an important teacher, our focus must remain on the present and the future to achieve growth and success. This visual analogy helps reinforce the idea that holding on to the past can hinder our progress, much like staying among ruins instead of building new structures. The past is gone, but we should use the wisdom gained from it to live today and prepare for a better tomorrow. There is absolutely no point in suffering over something that no longer exists. And remember this, you are who you are today, and you should never let your past define who you are or who you will become in the future. Accept your mistakes and shortcomings as part of human life. Recognize them, but never dwell on them. And don't get stuck in a loop of pessimistic thoughts due to actions you regret. Regret is part of being human, indicating that you seek detachment from your mistakes, which is why you feel that way. You feel regret. This feeling is a clear sign that you are not defined by your past mistakes. Make today the day that you start being more present and future-minded. Let's work hard today to live a great life tomorrow while enjoying the journey. Your past will look at you proudly for who you have become. So let's look at this diagram. We have the past, the present, and the future. And then we have the obstacles that separate our present self from our future self. If you notice, there is no obstacles between the present and the past. And that's because since the past in reality doesn't exist, like we cannot go back to the past, there is, it doesn't make sense for obstacles to be between the two. However, if we look from the present to the future, we can see the obstacles. And obviously, when we try to go to the future, there is going to be different obstacles and challenges and setbacks. And that's why we have these walls. And then what happens is if we are dwelling on the past and we keep our focus there, we will hit those obstacles very badly because we are not looking to the front, right? It's the same thing if you are driving, right? And you are focused on your rear view mirror, you will hit an obstacle like a tree or something, or maybe go off track. You would miss what's ahead and you could crash. So it's the same thing. If we dwell on the past, we might miss out on present opportunities and create unnecessary obstacles for ourselves. So stay focused on the present. That will ensure that you are actively working towards a better future, avoiding the obstacles that come from being stuck in the past. Learn from your mistakes, forgive yourself, become a better person, and move on. In this lesson, you've learned 3 important points: understanding the importance of learning from the past, recognizing why dwelling on the past is a waste of time, and understanding that your past doesn't define who you are. Learning from past experiences helps us make better decisions in the future. However, focusing too much on past mistakes or regrets prevents us from moving forward. So remember, you can always change and grow. Welcome to the last lesson of Module 1. In this lesson, we will explore the importance of forming a good habit structure. I will show you a list of habits that you should incorporate in your routine. We will redefine them and then learn how to refine them over time so you can reach your full potential. Trust me, you don't want to miss this lesson. So, what are habits? Habits are behaviors or routines that are repeated regularly and tend to occur subconsciously. And they can be as simple as brushing your teeth every morning or as complex as your daily workout routine. Habits are formed through a process known as the habit loop. The cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue, also known as trigger, is the signal that starts the behavior. For instance, waking up in the morning could be the trigger or cue for brushing your teeth. The routine is the actual behavior that is performed, such as brushing your teeth. The reward is the benefit you get from the behavior, like the feeling of cleanliness in your mouth, which makes you want to repeat it. For example, when you start networking, that's the cue. Then you start landing some nice projects, that's a routine. And then you get paid, that's a reward. So why forming good habits is important? Good habits allow you to perform tasks more efficiently because they become automatic. This saves time and mental energy that can be redirected towards more complex tasks. Habits also help in maintaining a structured daily routine, which increases productivity. For example, developing a habit of setting daily goals can lead to better time management and more accomplishments. Additionally, positive habits like regular exercise, healthy eating, and sufficient sleep are essential for maintaining physical and mental health. And forming good habits is also very important for long-term goals because there is a thing that's called compound effect. And a compound effect is basically when small actions lead to significant results. Here are some habits that are essential if you want to become successful and stay successful. I have divided these habits into two groups, which you can recognize by looking at the orange circles. The first group includes two habits that are a must and non-negotiable for achieving success. The first habit inside of the group is enough sleep, which means getting like 8 hours of rest, right? Without enough sleep, it's very, very, very difficult to perform well and maintain your health. And obviously, you will not be able to sleep 8 hours every day because, life is not like that. Sometimes you will sleep less, sometimes more, but you have to make sure that you have enough rest, because if not, it's going to be very difficult to be consistent. And the second habit inside of this group is work. And I'm talking about deep work. I'm not talking about, working for 10 minutes and going to, social media and scrolling there for another 10 minutes and going back to work for 15 minutes. I'm talking about at least 4 hours of deep work. Obviously, you can rest and you can pause a little bit, but you have to make sure that you are consistent with work, undistracted work. And now let's talk about the second group of habits. And I didn't want to call this group optional because if you want to be like the very best, you have to do the things that the very best do, right? And that means meditating, exercising, thinking, eating healthy, and reading. These are things that a lot of average people don't do. So if you want to be above average and be extraordinary, what you have to do? Extraordinary things. And adopting these habits is extraordinary. And I'm not asking you to do this for hours, right? I'm talking about 10 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of exercise, and then, thinking for 20 minutes, just sitting and thinking about life and about everything, you know what I mean, for 20 minutes only. And then when I say 24 hours of eating healthy, that means that you should always try to eat healthy. It doesn't mean that you have to have 24-hour meals. I'm talking about being consistent in eating healthy throughout the day. And obviously, it doesn't matter if once in a while you go and eat a burger, right? But don't be eating junk food every day because that's going to be detrimental for your health. And you don't have to start, for example, with 10 minutes of meditation. You can start with 5 or even 2. And then you can try 10 minutes of exercise daily and then 5 minutes of thinking and, try to incorporate healthier food into your diet and, read for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Just do it, today, start today. Do not procrastinate, do not postpone anything. Just start right now, today, and you will see amazing results over time. So to end this lesson, here are some books I've read that helped me tremendously. And I've also made an organized list with all the books I recommend. These are books I've actually read from start to finish. You can find this list in the resource page, and you can access the resource page by clicking the link in the description. In this lesson, you've learned about the nature of habits, the concept of the habit loop, and some essential habits for success. Understanding what habits are helps us recognize our daily routines. The habit loop explains how habits form through a cycle of cues, routines, and rewards. Knowing some essential habits for success can guide us in developing positive routines that contribute to our goals. Hey, congratulations on finishing the first module. I hope you've learned a new way of thinking and that you start applying everything you learned today. Now it's time for you to complete these modules exercises. To access the exercises, just click on the link in the description where it says Module 1 Exercises. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will see you in Module 2.